Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 11 of Shraga Debunks. I'm about to talk about the current situation because, well, there's a lot going on and yeah, let's get started on that. So, first off, there's obviously the lie of what happened on Aqsa, right? There's people claiming this is exactly the reason it started. Aqsa, the IDF went up. This is obviously ridiculous. Israel doesn't want Aqsa. If we wanted Aqsa, we would have it. We gave it back in 1967. Repeat. We defeated all of the Arab armies, we weren't scared of them, and we handed back Aqsa to the Waqf. Why? Because Israel doesn't want Aqsa. There's a whole discussion about that, but that's not the point. Next, it's obvious that Israel didn't actually attack Aqsa because of these pictures that happened beforehand. If you take a look at this picture over here, and this picture over here, you can see the stones that were stockpiled on Aqsa before the IDF went up. Notice that the pictures are in the daytime. This was the 9th of May. On the night of the 9th of May, the IDF went up to Aqsa. And there were riots, and all of that happened after the stones were stockpiled up there. Now, when the stones were stockpiled up there, they were used to throw at civilians. Why would they stockpile stones if not to throw at civilians? Again, Israel wasn't going to go up there. We don't want Aqsa. Next comes the lie that Israel targets civilians. Let's take a look at the reality. Let's take a look at what happens when Israel bombs an area. Israel does a few things to stop civilians getting hurt. Number one is the roof knocking tactic. It's not number one chronologically, but number one that I'm going to say. Take a look at the video of the roof knocking tactic being used.
This is how the Israeli military is warning Palestinians of an impending missile strike in Gaza. A small missile shell is launched on the target, supposedly to give people a chance to evacuate. And then, a minute or more later, the real missiles hit. It's called roof knocking, and it's supposed to minimize the number of civilian deaths. The first one means get out, and the second one means business.
As you can see, Israel dropped a non-explosive charge, or mildly explosive charge, that didn't actually cause much damage on the roof in order to warn civilians inside to get out the way. Israel did that so civilians don't get hurt. Again, Israel doesn't want civilians to get hurt. We did the roof knocking tactic so they don't get hurt. Repeat, we did it so they don't get hurt. Now, you will say, well, that's kind of an explosive warning, isn't it? I mean, people could get hurt from that. That is true. People can get hurt from the roof knocking tactic, which is why Israel actually calls up civilians before they bomb the area. Repeat, Israel calls civilians before we bomb the area to warn them to get out. Observe.
ماشي حاضر الزنان بتضرب وبعدين ضربتين بعدها ماشي يقول نرجع الارض الفاضيه بقول لك مش الزنان حتضرب اول وبعدين تضربوا البرج ماشي يا عم هذا لسه ايوه خلص ولا يهمك انا بدي اطلع بس لحظه هذول كلهم هيك الناس الجايه ما في حدا منهم مقرب إذا أعطينا 10 دقائق ساور المسؤول قول له يعني 10 دقائق ما حيصير شيء. كانوا يدخلوا العمارة ولا واحد صاروا الناس إحنا محترمين رأيكم يا عمي إحنا ما بنقول لكم بدنا نيجي غصب عنكم. أعطينا 10 دقائق. لا أخوي ليش 10 دقائق البيت إحنا صار لنا نصف الناس بتلاقي الناس يرجعوا للعمارة للبرج بدون حد يرمي الشارع.
Yes, that man was called up by Israel and told to get out of the building and to get other people out of the building. As you can see in the second clip, he gives them an hour to get people out of the building. He says, you've been doing it for an hour. Maybe it's figurative, maybe it's literal. Point is, people are allowed out of the building, and they're allowed and warned to get out of the building. Furthermore, Israel actually drops leaflets in case people don't have phones. Drops leaflets in the area. They call civilians and they use the roof knocking tactic. Again, Israel does not want to harm civilians. We're doing everything we can to avoid civilians getting hurt. So, why do civilians die? If Israel warns everyone, and Israel does, if we warn everyone to get out of the area, why do civilians die? I'll tell you why. Human shielding and Hamas misfires. Take a look. Over here you have a poster that Hamas released telling people to stay on their roof You see them on the roof, telling people to stay on the roof in order to stop missiles getting into the area where they're hiding weapons. Israel does not want to harm civilians, and Hamas puts civilians in harm's way. Take a look at Sami Abu Zuri telling people to stay to human shield. There we go. Hamas Ministry of Interior telling people to stay where they are when the IDF warns them. Hamas does this thing, it's human shielding. Why does Hamas employ these human shielding tactics? Because they work. Take a look at Israel calling off an attack because there are children there.
זזים מהר, זה לא ילדים?
יש פה ילדים כנראה, אנחנו עוצרים את זה.
נכון, יש פה אחד גדול וכמה קטנים.
אנחנו חושדים בילדים ואנחנו לא נלך על זה, אני חושב שהם ילדים.
Israel bombs civilian areas. Why? Why does Israel bomb civilian areas? If we care about the Palestinian civilians, why do we bomb civilian areas? Take a look. Over here you can see a picture where Hamas's terror tunnel is the red, and it's next to a mosque and a kindergarten. Again, it's 29 feet from a mosque and a kindergarten of kids. That's where Hamas puts their terrorist things. Take a look at this over here. You can see over here that Hamas hides the terror tunnel entrance, that's the red, under a hotel. A hotel on the beach is a terror entrance to Hamas's terror tunnel. It's called the Metro. Why? Because Israel doesn't want to hurt civilians. Take a look over here. Hamas is firing rockets from a civilian area towards Israeli civilians. Hamas hides behind their own civilians and they fire at our civilians. Hamas is a terrorist organization and Israel doesn't want to harm civilians. If you needed even more evidence, if photographic evidence wasn't enough for you, there's a UN report, and there's even Vox News. Vox News is incredibly anti-Israel. Vox, take a look at the article. What exactly justifies what Hamas is doing? Absolutely nothing. Why else are Gazans dying? Take a look at this. See this picture right here? Take a look. You see a Hamas rocket misfires. Many Hamas rockets have misfired. In fact, I believe it's about 430 currently that have misfired. They hit Gazan civilians. They're shooting from behind their own civilians, sometimes at their own civilians, in order to kill Israeli civilians. Listen to that. Hamas is firing from behind their own civilians, hitting their own civilians. 3 kids have died. 3 kids have died in the Gaza Strip from Hamas's missiles going wrong. They hit their own civilians from shooting behind them while aiming at our civilians. If photographic evidence isn't enough for you, here's an article from the Palestinian rights group Defense for Children. What more do you need? Hamas is using their own civilians. Wake up and see it. Do you see it yet? Hamas is using their own civilians to harm our civilians and hurt everyone involved. Hamas is an openly terrorist organization. Again, Hamas is a terrorist organization hurting our civilians, trying to hurt their civilians. That's what they're doing. Hamas are also faking casualties. Take a look. Over here, we have a child hugging another child, scared for their lives. Oh, no, it's from Syria in 2014. Okay, take a look at this one. Israel's using white phosphorus. That's a dangerous weapon. That's a civilian attacking weapon. Oh, no, it's from Afghanistan, a couple of years before that. Do you see it yet? Do you see it? Do you see the lies, the narrative, the fake, the misleading? Do you see it yet? Next is the myth that Hamas aren't a terrorist organization. Honestly, don't know where you are with that one, but let's debunk it really easily. Take a look at these videos of Hamas saying, kill Israelis.
وأيدينا على السلاح أيدينا على الصواريخ أيدينا على تفجير الباصات أيدينا على العمليات الاستشهادية خلاص يا 7 مليون فلسطيني برا بكفيكم تسخين في عندكم يهود في كل مكان يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى.
Take a look at these videos of Hamas saying, kill Jews wherever they are, regardless of being Israeli or not. In the rest of the world, just kill all the Jews. Do you need any more? I'm going to give you more anyway. From their charter, Israel exists and will continue to exist until Islam obliterates it. There is no solution to the Palestinian question other than jihad. Jihad being the policy of killing everyone who's not Muslim. A freedom-fighting organization, aren't they? No. They're a terrorist organization hell-bent on killing Israelis, killing Jews, and they don't care about their own civilians while they do it. You with me? They don't care about their own civilians, and they're willing to kill ours, kill theirs, just in order to hurt Israelis and Jews. Next up is the absolutely stupid lie from John Oliver and Trevor Noah and the ridiculous, idiotic line of logic, saying, yeah, but Israel's a lot stronger, so Israel shouldn't fire back. Hamas rockets can't actually do anything. Look, Israel's got the Iron Dome. I don't know how far up your head has to be in order to believe that, but let's take a look, okay? This rocket hit Ashkelon. Take a look at the explosion.
Wow! Imale! 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 אני בשוק!
There we go. That's an explosion where people could have died. People are dying from that. From a Hamas rocket hitting a city of civilians. Take a look at this one. This rocket hit Taiba. Not a Jewish city, an Arab city in Israel, because Israel has many Arabs living in it. That's 50,000 Arabs living in a city that's just got hit by a Hamas rocket. Take a look. You know what? Just keep watching. 10 Israelis have died. 10 Israeli civilians have... No, sorry. A couple of hours ago, 12 Israelis have died. 12 Israelis have died because of these rockets. 1,500 have been injured. These rockets kill, hurt, maim, and wound. Keep watching. Even if you think all the Jews should die, which I really can't understand why you would, but even if you think all the Jews should die, what about the 1.9 million Arabs living in Israel? Does that not bother you? Say you want to kill all the Jews. Fine. Let's just pretend for a second that you want to kill all the Jews. I don't know why you would. I think it's disgusting that you would. But let's just say for a second you want all the Jews to die. Are you willing to kill 1 million and 1.9 million Arabs to do it? Hamas is. Yes, the Iron Dome is a very, very good defense system. It's the most advanced missile defense system on the planet. Thank you to Rafael and to the IDF for creating it. But so what? You still can't shoot 3,300 missiles at people. It's not a thing you can do and get away with it. That's not an option. And it's not an option for us to sit back and let it happen. The Iron Dome system is very advanced, but it's also very expensive. Every missile fired by the Iron Dome to shoot another missile out the air is a very expensive shot. And you just want us to sit back and take it? I don't think so. Last but not least, I want you to take a look at what happens when people aren't trying to kill our soldiers. How our soldiers treat civilians. Take a look at these videos.
מה נשמע? בוא תביא כיף, בוא. כיף. איווה. מה נשמע? איך קוראים לך? שו اسمك? אלן?
זה اسم אבוי. זה اسم אבוי.
אבוי?
لا أبوي.
אבוי. יאללה.
I hope I've debunked all of these lies with photographic evidence, articles, and videos, and a little bit of logic. If you have any other ideas for me to debunk, like, comment, share them down below. And as always, I'm Israel Chai. Stay safe, guys.